Wills, can you believe it? It's episode 3.
Episode 3, Design Of.
And I'm so excited. Do you know why I'm excited today?
Well, I think it has something to do with who we got to interview, right?
Oh, it totally does. One of my favorites.
All right, well, let's not waste a whole lot of time getting into it, but we do want to make our listeners aware that this being a podcast about process, it's also the case that being a podcast about process, there is a process involved in creating a podcast.
Hold on a second. I think there's a lot of process in there.
Oh, yeah, there certainly is.
Yeah, so basically what you're saying is this is our first remote podcast. And as you'll hear, we had to move the microphone a lot. And so be patient with us, but we're excited about what you're about to hear.
Yeah, so let's get right into it.
Is this the race for gold for the man who finished in second place last year and lost the event by 11 seconds? He's going to beat 17:56. He's going to set himself up for the win in this race as Christian Vande Velde comes up towards the line.
I think Christian's one of those riders that fans around the world really got behind last year and were really willing him to do a good ride, and will be the same this year.
These are the roads that I trained on for 4 years when I lived at the training center, and I've never gone that fast from Woodland Park back here, that's for sure. But no, it was a nice day, and I'm having a good time, man. This race rocks.
Now, he is the winner of the Tour of Missouri. Welcome, Christian Vande Velde.
Our guest today is someone who I greatly admire, and it's going to be hilarious because Christian Vande Velde, who is about to introduce himself, is one of those unique, really humble guys. And I'm sure as I say how much I appreciate him and his career, he's just going to give me like funny faces, kind of like he is now. So, hey, Christian, welcome to Design Of.
Thank you very much, guys.
So, Justin, you're the cycling nerd of the two of us.
So true.
Can you tell us a little bit about who Christian Vande Velde is?
Yeah, Christian Vande Velde is one of our great American cyclists. His dad was an Olympian. Christian himself was an Olympian. And he's ridden in such great races like the Tour de France, the granddaddy of them all. He has cycled with the likes of Lance Armstrong on several of his World Championship and Tour de France teams, George Hincapie, Levi Leipheimer, and other well-known cyclists.
My dad said I rode when I was 3, and then he had a little bike for me, and then I broke that bike, the chain broke or something like that, and he never got it fixed, so then I almost forgot how to ride a bike. Then I had some kind of weird training wheel bike, and then I remember my first official bike though, and that was from Oscar Watson Bicycles downtown Chicago. His father used to make my dad's old race bikes, so he was one of the first Paramount builders in Schwinn. So he was one of the true, frame builders in the United States. So this is my 5th birthday, so May 22nd, 1981. So on a Schwinn Pixie, and it was a girl Schwinn Pixie. Weighed like 40 pounds, blue, chrome fenders, and I remember he pushed me, and I rode through the bike shop right onto whatever busy downtown street that was or whatever. But that was my first bike, and then I went to Schwinn Thrasher, and then I used to try to ride the biggest. It was like kind of like a rite of passage, like the biggest bike you could ride. So if you could ride the neighbor's 10-speed or 12-speed, then you're the man, And so I have all the scars to prove it that I was riding big bikes, and it was my mom's bike, and then I started to steal my dad's bike, and then try to wear his old, leather cycling shoes and just random stuff, it was whatever I could get my hands on. I got my first bikes, then my dad gave me like a Ram Nishiki, and then I put together, I forgot, probably like some money from graduation and odd jobs, and I said, okay, my dad said, I'll pay half whatever you go, and so I bought a Trek 1200, and we kind of modified that to a better racing bike, and then I started racing. Then that's when I first got out. So I was 16 now, so this is 92. I did nationals, and I got top 10 in nationals, and the next year I kind of flailed. Oh, God.
You don't go from 0 to top 10 at nationals. So, what happened in between there? How did you train? Did your dad train you? Did you race your dad?
Yeah.
How did that work?
I'm sorry, I'm skipping real quick.
Wow, you weren't kidding. Christian is a crazy, humble guy. And it's even crazier considering how much he's accomplished in his career.
I know, and we haven't even started talking about his dad and how amazing he is.
So my dad is a 68 and 72 Olympian. So he's a track rider. I did the team pursuit, individual pursuit. Track rider is the velodrome. So it's locally in Chicago. We have a velodrome in Northbrook and one in Kenosha.
Okay, Wills, here's your chance. What's a velodrome?
It's basically an oval-shaped racetrack, usually with banked sides, that people ride fixed-gear bicycles on.
Nice job.
A lot of people back then in the Midwest, it was a big deal for people to ice skate in the wintertime and race their track bikes in the summertime. Even back to when my grandparents, my grandpa and my uncle, Valère, they raced their bikes on the track, and there used to be a bunch of velodromes here in Chicago. And Chicago Stadium, there was the first event was a 6-day bicycle race. So it was a big deal, and those guys had made more money than Babe Ruth. So things have definitely changed. I wish it was back then. Most notoriety though came from being one of the Italians and breaking away.
Enrico Giamande spends 8 hours a day training to be the finest racer in all of Italy. But Enrico has a problem. He's not in Italy. He's in Bloomington, Indiana.
Papa! Ciao, Papa!
And he's not Enrico Giamande.
I should have hit him when I had the chance. He'd be dead now.
Oh, grazie, Tante Santa Maria.
He's Dave Stoller.
He was as normal as pumpkin pie, and now look at him.
So when he says breaking away, of course, he means the 1979 film about adolescence and cycling. And
It is about adolescence and cycling. Well said, Wills. But it is an Oscar award-winning film from the 1979 who had a great young cast of like Daniel Stern and Dennis Quaid and Dennis Christopher. And what's interesting is Christian's dad plays one of the evil pro riders, and so do some of his buddies who are supposed to be these Italian pro riders, but yet none of them are Italian. And what a cool thing for your dad to be in this cult classic film about cycling.
Before that, though, he was one of the first guys who tried his hand being a professional in Europe and racing the 6 days over there. So as an American. Yeah, so that was a big deal. I mean, back then, no one really did that. And no one was, there really wasn't much infrastructure to start doing that. So he was one of the first guys to start, breaking down some barriers. And then the guys in the 80s took it one step farther, and then everyone, so on and so forth, keeps on going farther and farther.
Well, what's pretty amazing about this point? I just want to really make sure we highlight it.
what's that?
Christian's dad was an American cyclist who was trying to put American cycling on the map, and that is pretty fantastic.
Yeah, he's one of the first guys who actually tried to go overseas and start to make a career out of riding his bike.
Considering your pedigree, how was cycling treated in your household? Was it an expectation that you would be a professional cyclist, or was it more loose than that? What was that like?
That's a good question. I never really thought of it just because I thought that was like my natural path. It's like what I always wanted to be, and I always looked up to those guys. Looked up to my dad, and my dad was my first hero, just like a bunch of other kids all over. And then all these guys coming over, professional cyclists, like who were racing for Schwinn-Wheaties in the 80s or Motorola later on, and coming over, and they're like just ripped, tan young men coming over, and you're like, holy shit.
So imagine this. You're a 12-year-old kid, and you have all these professional cyclists coming over for meals and sleeping over your house, and they're all riding together on the weekends.
I mean, how can you not be excited about being a cyclist?
So that always like had that allure, the chrome on the bikes, the cool, like, and then the 80s, with all the neon Bolet and the Oakley stuff. So, like, I don't know, there's something about it, and it was just different. Like being in Chicago, the Chicago sports scene was always ball sports, and I really had no desire.
Did your dad ever ride any Grand Tours?
No, he was just a track rider, and not just a track, but just that's what he did. And back then it was quite specialized. So if you did that, and if not, so no, he never had. I don't think it even entered his mind to even do that. Whereas today you'd be given a lot different opportunities. There's all different kinds of paths and avenues to make it, and it's just like any bigger sport. So if you're a great track athlete, maybe you could be a wild wide receiver for the Vikings one day, because track and field doesn't always pay the bills, and it's a hard discipline. It's only every 4 years for Olympics, so you could go so far in track, on the velodrome that is, and then really what's the next step? You need to try to make the road if you really want to make a living and have a career in 10 years. and not live at the Olympic Training Center and things like that. So that's just the normal trajectory, is eventually go to the road.
So we want to give you a little bit of an image of what it's like to be a 16-year-old kid trying to be the best cyclist he can be.
Like, I went to 2 of these 1-week-long Motorola cycling camps, and that was like, that was right up here at St. John's Military Academy outside of Waukesha. And so you're in the dorms, and it's all just people who go out there who want to learn to ride their bikes. And usually it's hosted by Tom Schuler and by more or less the guys who didn't do the Tour de France. So that was my opening to, well, I really want to do this. And it's a little bit easier for me than the other people, I realized. But I just love the ins and outs and just eating, sleeping, and riding bikes all day long. So that's where really I kind of like started to see. I was 15 and 16, that's 91, 92. And then right on the heels of that, I went to the national championships. So that was like my second road race ever, But it was a blast. I remember I went there with a 5312, and then we realized that there's junior gears. We're like, oh my God. My dad had no clue. We didn't had any thought of anything when we got there, You'd think he'd be prepared. We were completely unprepared. No, I had to like switch gears. My friends were like, brought my bike into the pit and just changed all the gears out so I could make roll out, and it's a great experience. But next year, definitely sophomore jinx, just everything just kind of didn't go my way, and I don't know if I wasn't that focused or what. And then, so it was my senior year in high school. I took it very serious. I got a coach, Clement Capilliar was a local coach here in Chicago, and we had a great crew of guys all here in Chicago, and we all trained together every Sunday and Saturday and Sunday and tried to get together, whether we were up in Palatine or here or down south. We always got together. And that core group, we just pushed ourselves so much farther. From there, I won a national title, a senior national title as a junior the next year on the track. My teammate won the national championship in the points race. Just a bunch of idiot kids from the Midwest. So it just shows you how when you're pushing yourselves, and by yourself, you'd never do it. But I want to crush you, and you want to crush me. So we're just going to keep on pushing ourselves farther and farther. And I was so focused on doing everything. I remember I used to carry a gallon of Gatorade with me in school just to say. I was just completely insane.
So you have this dad who's, one of America's first great cyclists. And was there any sort of shadow cast on that? Or did you, you talk about being competitive. Did you want to beat him? Did you ever go on a ride and crush your dad? Or when did, how did that relationship?
Yeah. First of all, he never pushed me into cycling. That's for sure. If anything, it was me always, begging him. My birthday parties were at bike races. Like we'd take a bunch of kids down to Chicago and watch the Wheat Thins Classic or whatever, or Oak Park, things like that. So that was my mentality. But later on, as far as going with him on bike rides, yeah, of course we'd just try to kill each other the whole time. That's what he taught me, was just like we're gonna go out and we're gonna smash it. And as a kid, that's all you want to do anyway. So I was probably pinned at 210 heart rate the whole time, and loving it, and again, like you said, there's no hills around here, right? So it's hard to make a difference. So the one thing would be we always did the same ride out the Plainfields, 40 miles, like on the dot from my door to on these frontage roads, turn around, come back, 40 miles round trip. And then you had to go across the Lamont Bridge to come back, which I think now that's insane to be riding with your kids around because that's such a bad road. But
your dad wanted to toughen you up.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's all we had though, and to come back and I dropped him over the bridge, and that was like the first I think I was 15.
That's the first time you dropped him.
Yeah, I think I was 15. Yeah, and that was.
And there's no way he let you.
And as a father now, that had to be just as a proud and sad moment all at the same time, and then even add insult to injury, like a couple of years later, my sister did the same thing on the same bridge.
But, do you guys ever bring that up to him?
Of course.
Yeah. So right out of high school, did you quote unquote turn pro? Like, how does the cycling?
Oh yeah, so I was all enrolled to college at Marian University, so because I was going to get a nice scholarship to go there. They give scholarships to cycling for cycling riders. And it's right across the street from the Velodrome where I won the national championships. But then winning that national title made me an automatic qualifier for the Pan Am Games the next year, which I had no clue. All I was trying to do was make the junior worlds team. And all I had to beat was, I think, one other junior in the field, and I made it. And so it just by happenstance I won the whole thing. And so then they said, you want to go to Australia this fall? I'm like, yeah. Like, forget college. And so I went to live at the Olympic Training Center that October in Colorado Springs, and then went over to Australia in Adelaide, and just started, just went in the deep end, like big time.
Are you still track riding at this point?
Yeah, we're a track rider, and so back then this was starting to build up for '96. So this is end of '94 now, and so they're looking at '96, and the team pursuit program had just gotten a silver medal, which was never happened at the World Championships, and so we had adopted the East German training program. So we were riding what those guys had done.
What is that?
That sounds so scary.
Yeah, right. It was the East German. It was, and so we was just pretty much. It was pretty much throw eggs at the wall, and whichever ones didn't break, then you have your team kind of thing. And so we did. I'm pretty sure like around a little over 1,000 kilometers a week. So that's 650 like a week.
So what's a typical day like? Just
so there we just we'd start do breakfast in the morning, probably like 7 o'clock in the morning. I mean, then I was 18 years old. It's like whatever sweet cereal came my way, or there was no diet. Yeah, exactly. That's like I had no idea what it was anyways. All Australian, just pretty much just eat to eat. Eggs, whatever you could get, and then we'd ride 4 or 5 hours up in the mountains, and then sometimes up to 8 hours. We had these training blocks of 180 to 180 kilometers, 200 and 240. So it's completely insane. Like, I've never done that ever after that, those couple of years. And then we'd have that, and so if it was an easier day, would be 4 hours, be 70 some miles on the bike, come back, have lunch, then go to the track and do 5 times 10 kilometer intervals on the VO2.
The first rides were more on the road, and then you'd come back and do the track.
Yeah, and then come home from the track, eat dinner, and then go to the weight room. I mean, it was just really, it was crazy. But I didn't know any better, and I was happy as Larry just to be there.
So you go to bed like what, 10-ish?
Yeah, 10-ish, just pass out.
And start over.
Yeah, then luckily I broke my collarbone after 3 weeks, and I got to go home. And that was the best break ever, because I don't know if I would ever. I think I would have killed myself, just training that hard that young. But that set me up for the next 2 or 3 years with those good 95, 96, 97. And when I actually recovered from all that, then I couldn't do any wrong. So, but for those 2 years, I didn't make the Olympic team. I was alternate for the Olympic team, and then.
Oh, was that a bummer?
Oh, that was huge. As I was ready to quit the sport.
How close were you?
I was second alternate, so I mean, right there. I was almost had to go down to the Olympics, which thankfully I didn't have to go there and see all my friends race the race that I wanted to be in. But I was just 20. But at that time, that was the world, and especially being in Atlanta and all the hoopla around it, I was really depressed. Got fat, and then I did the Road World Championships.
So fat, you mean you gained 7 pounds?
Yeah, I was actually I was pretty big, but after that, I finally recovered, and then the next year, they won 3 national titles. I won the World Cup on the track. I think even did the Road World Championships and was top 10 in there, and then got a contract with U.S. Postal in '98.
And we have a breakaway group on our picture, and Maggie just brings up to speed with who we've got ahead.
We got Nicolas Roach from AG2. We got Christian Vande Velde.
The sport's completely changed since then, but then now it's disciplines that I did was a 4 kilometers. That's 2.5 miles, pursuit all by yourself. Team pursuit with 4 guys, and a points race that is 40 kilometers, which is 25 miles. So yes, it's much more explosive. It's faster, whereas a road race could take 5 hours or more. This is more of explosive endurance. So I was a bigger guy then, because you had to do a lot more weight room, deadlifting and a lot of weights, and just be bigger, just because of the explosive you need to go off the line in the track. Yeah. Whereas going up a 10-mile mountain pass, you have to be as small as you possibly can. So you see guys, Bradley Wiggins is a great example, who was a Olympic champion on the track, and then won the Tour de France. Lost, I think, 15 pounds in the interim. Whereas you see him on the track, he still looked like a skinny guy. Yeah. And then he was very, very skinny to do good in the Tour de France. So yes, it is a different sport, but now it's even more so, where it's so specialized, right, and it's so hard to jump back and forth.
So your first pro team was the U.S. Postal team. So like, how does that work? Like, I don't know how many people are on your team, and then how are you picked to go to what event, or how does that work?
Just luck of the draw. It was like the U.S. Postal in 1998 was not, U.S. Discovery Channel in 2005. We had 15 guys on the team. One guy barely raced. Lance was coming back from cancer and pretty much quit halfway through the year. So we had like 13 guys on the team. And we were doing all sorts of races and still a wild card team for the Tour de France. So if you were alive, you raced more or less. And so I raced, I think 107 days or 110, I don't know, something way over 100 days though. My first year when I was 21, 22 years old. So I did all the World Cups. I did, Paris-Roubaix, Tour of Flanders, GP Swiss. And then I did a Grand Tour. I did the Vuelta, World Championships, Paris. I mean, you name it, I re-raced it. So that I would never have that opportunity. No, thank God. I mean, there's no way I would have been ready to do the Tour de France. But the next year I did, which was I was still only 23, and on the front when Lance won in the first year in '99. So, but yeah, we were definitely not a great team by any stretch of the imagination.
So your first year, you rode everything. And your second year, you rode the Tour, and that's the year Lance won. Mm-hmm. Like I was talking to Wills, and a lot of our listeners may not know. There's roles you play on a team. So can you describe those roles and how you get assigned those roles? Like a domestique, like what do they do? And is it true that they're hazed a lot for the team? How does that work?
Well, yeah. So I was definitely in a domestique role. I was just on the front there to fetch water bottles, food, and then there we're defending the yellow jersey. So on the front for hundreds of kilometers at a time, 60 some 70 miles at the time, and then pretty much finishing. So I was either first or last. So it's either those are the guys who are on the front, breaking the wind, setting the tempo, or when your job's done, you sit up and just save all your energy for tomorrow because you're going to need it. So it's a very sacrificial role. You don't have the pressure to win at the end of the day, but you have a lot of work to do, and it's and without all the accolades kind of thing. But at the same time, you're not tossing and turning at night, just whatever, it's not my fault. I did my job but okay, when the chips are down and you have to defend it, that is hard and that is stressful, but for the most part, you're not the one who has to truly follow through at the end.
Okay, so for those of our listeners who don't understand, cycling, especially at a Grand Tour, is a team sport. Would that be, yeah. So what you're saying is you would have to do whatever you can to make sure whoever your guy is, that you're making sure that you're blocking the wind for him. And like you said, the domestique goes back to the team car and gets whatever he wants. Like what?
I mean, yeah, water bottles, food, rain jackets. Back then, helmets. Like we didn't have to wear helmets, so sometimes you might have a helmet, or you want to take your helmet off halfway through the race because it's going up a hill because it's hot. Just things that you wouldn't even think twice of now. But I mean, or what I think is funny is that we'd always wear the helmets on the flat days, because we were going fast. But then we wouldn't wear them on the mountain stages because we get hot, right?
When you go down.
Exactly, right. So I remember sitting in my top two doing like 63, 64 miles an hour down the Tourmalet. No helmet, just a cap on. And now I don't go out my door without a helmet on.
Tell us a little bit about the camaraderie or the inner workings of a pro cycling team. Are you guys close, or is it super competitive and not a whole lot of friendliness going on? What's that like?
I think the teams, for sure, are the camaraderie is really good for the most part, because cycling is such a humbling sport, and you have to live with each other day in and day out, whether it's breakfast table, on the way to the race. Back then was a small car, or now it's in the bus. Racing together afterwards, and you room together. You never have your own room, and then of course dinner. I mean, you're constantly with each other. So if you're not, it's a necessary evil. You have to get along, and you see a lot of people who can't get along with people. They don't last long in the sport just because you might be a great rider, but we don't like you, and we don't want to be around you, and I don't want to sacrifice myself because I don't, you wouldn't do the same for me, so I'm not going to do the same for you. So there's a lot of that, but I would say those kind of people usually never make it all the way to the top. But yeah, there's a lot of sacrifice. But the biggest thing I could say is just it's a humbling sport.
It seems like there's some smack talking going on between teams, that sort of thing. Does that go on, or are you guys just talking about whatever?
Oh, there's tension. There's no doubt about that. There's some, but 10, 15, 20 years ago, there was a lot more downtime in the race where you could have a chat and catch up. Now in the Tour de France, for example, it's more or less full-blown racing from start to finish. Even the neutral, it's crazy already. So there's not really much of that. They're the last day going to the Champs-Élysées, like, oh, you're here in this race? You're like, or I haven't seen you in 3 weeks. I've been to the same race, but, the smack talk is more like, questioning why you're doing something, why are you chasing this breakdown, or you only got these guys in the break, or why aren't you chasing this breakdown? Those kind of things. Like, it's more tactical. Once in a blue moon, maybe somebody does a risky move and maybe crash somebody, then it really is going to get heightened. But for the most part, there's not much talking anymore. It's just straight up biking,
The inside, everybody dashing for gaps on the line, but on the far right of the picture, it is going to be on the line. Marcel Kittel gets the victory.
And even if you scream at each other, which it does happen every once in a while because it is tension. You can't hear anything. There's helicopters, there's guys with air horns, people throwing all sorts of random stuff on you. It gets hot every once in a while.
That's actually a great question because we love the views we see of the Tour de France, or now a lot of the main Grand Tours seem to be on TV because of NBC and all that sort of thing, which as a cyclist I love. With the helicopters and stuff around, it's got to be super noisy. So that's my first question. Is it really, really loud? And secondly, when you're going up the Alpe d'Huez or some of those really tight where it's only as wide as your bike, is that stressful when people are touching you on the back and screaming at you?
It's always stressful depending on where you are in the race. So if you're at the front and you're going for the win or you have to work for somebody, then that could be stressful because you're hyper aware of, this guy crashes me, my race is over, or if somebody attacks now, I can't follow him because I can't go around any guys. It's only a little passageway. It is really loud. I think your central nervous system sometimes is more stressed than physically sometimes, where you almost get shell shock. Someone drops a plate and you jump because it's just really loud at all times. You got your radio, and sometimes you can't hear your radio or someone yelling at you from the side. So that is something that people don't realize how loud it is. But apart from the actual stress of going back to yelling at each other, that really doesn't happen as much as you'd think. I wish I could say that, just make it a little more drama, but it's not. There isn't time for it.
No, that's good to that's good to know because when you're even with your other competitive teams that you're racing against, you're still going to be with them for 3-4 weeks, right? So it does seem like a lot of times the guys are talking, and I just always wonder, they're just hey, where you going to dinner tonight or whatever? Yeah.
I will say that you will have guys that you think that you hate, in your mind, and then one day you'll be teammates with them, and you're like, why did I hate, and you absolutely love them. Or you'll have the guys you love to be teammates with them, but you hate racing against them because they're the best teammates ever. But it's like Shaw in the Blackhawks is a great example of that. I would hate to play against Shaw, but I would love him to be my teammate because I'm his biggest fan. I love that guy, but I would hate to play against him. Just always chirping at you.
What are you cutters doing here? Did you get lost?
No.
Well, then why don't you get lost now?
Winning the team time trial in 2011 was huge. Winning the overall team in the Tour de France that same year was really big, and not just because we won it, but because of the struggle to get there, and with the team that we had, and the way we did it, and it was just it was very personal, because you had put so much into it yourself. It wasn't that you're just a hired killer. It was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears from all the guys, the original guys who were a part of that. So that was really neat.
People ask which tour stage is most important. The answer is simple. The first stage starts in Chicago, in my barn, and then ends in France 9 months later.
Same thing goes with winning the team time trial in the Giro in 2008.
Come on, Christian, dig. Come on, Christian, come on. This is it, Christian. Come on, dig deep, buddy. Good job, Christian. Catch Michael Berry. Catch him. Catch Michael Berry. There you go. Come on, get her up to speed. Nice big recovery after this. Come on, Christian. Come on, up to speed. Up. Come on, Christian. You have to fight all the way to the line to get this from Michael Rogers.
was really cool because, then we weren't even in the Tour de France yet. We were still a wild card team. We're still just complete unknown factor. And we're doing all these insane things like ice vests and warming up, different, experimenting with different things. And people laugh at us, and now everyone's got an ice vest on. And next year we wore skin suits and everyone laughed at us. Now everyone wears skin suits, and we were definitely thinking outside the box. And I think I'm more proud of some of the things that we brought in or made people aware that it was possible. Bringing in no needles policy, for example. When I thought that, I was like, you guys are crazy. We're all going to die. And then we do it. And we're like, oh, we're fine. And this is great. And it's great for clean sport, and on and on and on. There's a lot of small victories. But looking back, you don't never think of your victories. If you rest on them, then you never go anywhere. So you always have to think like, okay, if I win this, I want to win it again, or I need to win bigger races, or I need to win more often. So my victories definitely did not come too often, and I've really only won one big road race by myself in Paris-Nice in 2009, and I got all the victory salutes in. And, I've kissed the ring, I rocked the baby, I put the hands on the. I made it count.
We will begin with third place today. This was an amazing run and an amazing tour for this young man. Ladies and gentlemen, riding for BMC Racing, third place today, welcome the future, TJ Vande.
Can you explain what it's like when you walk on the podium and they give you the stuff and you wave to the crowd? Like, how did you feel?
I never really got too crazy about that. I really didn't care about that. It was more the whole satisfaction of doing it until getting there. That was great and all to be up there and to receive those accolades, but it wasn't about that. It was really about just racing as hard as I could every time, and I got just as much satisfaction seeing my team win. I probably got more. When you win the team time trial and you have all the boys up on the podium, those are the best celebrations, and especially even when we won the team overalls every time, like in California, we always had champagne and 8 big magnums with champagne flying. It's just freaking hysterical, that's a good time, something, for example, the Champs-Élysées is weird. You get out there and it's beautiful on TV and you see the Arc de Triomphe and the Champs behind you. There's no one in front of you but photographers. There's no fans. It's very, it's amazing. It's like that's the pinnacle of the sport. But for what the guys who are on there are seeing is a bunch of lenses at them and not necessarily a throng of crowds. Whereas in the States, even in small races, you could have 1,000 people immediately right in front of you. You want to crowd surf or something, but there it's the biggest thing, and then there's no champagne, there's no all these other things, because it's not a sponsor. And
so you retired in what year? 2013, and now we get to see your mug on NBC. How's that going? How's that feel?
It's been fun. It's a completely different experience. It's totally foreign. There's been no schooling for it, so it's been very intimidating going there. And just my first event was Tour of California, and I was almost sick every day just because I was so nervous and didn't know what I was doing, and they're saying all this jargon that made absolutely zero sense to me. We're going to gold and going to blue, and we got voice on this, and we got pictures here, and they're coming in, and this is all coming through my ear while I'm trying to and to compound things, the audiovisual was all messed up in that race, so I would be hearing Paul when I'm supposed to be talking to Phil in my cans, and then the pictures weren't coming in good, and people were screaming in the truck, and it was horrible. And I thought, I never want to do this ever again. And then fast forward to the Tour de France, and I've done 22 Grand Tours in my life, so I feel more at home in that day-to-day grind, and I don't know, it just felt a little bit more natural.
It's really cool to see where Christian's career has led him, first as a cyclist, and now he's a commentator covering races like the Tour de France.
Yeah, and so here he is, on TV with some other legendary cyclists, like Bob Roll, an American former professional cyclist who'd ridden in all of the great races. And, after a few weeks of being at the tour, you get bored, and things like this happen. It looked like you and Bob were riding one of the segments, but was he really in street clothes and you were in cycling gear? What was that story?
That happened, man. We begged for some bikes. We got some bikes from our friends at Road ID, and they gave us their bikes, and we rode up La Toussaint back to our hotel.
How far was that?
La Toussaint it was about a 12-mile climb.
Is it nasty grade?
It was hard, yeah. It was 7, 8, 9%, 6, but it was a climb. I mean, it's a true alpine pass, and I was like, sweet, I got my carry-on, I got all my stuff. I'm like, Bob, we got a bike if you want to do it. He's like, I'm in. And I was like, you got anything? No, I don't care. I mean, didn't even like raise his seat. He was on this small bike that didn't come close to fitting him. I had everything. Bob had Louis Vuitton shoes on, no socks, and black skinny jeans. And then halfway up, he took his shirt off, and I mean, it was hot. It was close to 90 degrees that day. But yeah, he's a complete animal, and we just laughed our asses off. We were like raving lunatics leaving the parking lot because we hadn't done anything in weeks, and then to finally get out, sweat, do what we love. We've been watching and commentating on this crazy sport for the last couple of weeks, and so to finally do that and to get the endorphins going and do something, I mean, just the best drugs are free, man.
He can still crush it. It looks like.
So there's some Swedish guys, I believe, that were right ahead of us, and he saw them, and he had to chase them down, and this is all in the first mile of the climb, and he's going way over his limit, and of course, just to show them, and guys look over, they see some crazy lunatic in jeans, and they're keeping up with him, like, who is this? It really was that was the highlight of the tour. I think I would say for Bob too, but it was just great to do. And then of course we rolled in. And we went right by the restaurant where all the whole staff was eating, and yeah, so it was a good time.
So I just want to finish by saying thank you. We met through a mutual friend, and you became our unofficial coach, which of course I deemed you without your permission. So thank you for that, for Wheels for Water. And so we just finished our second year, and you were always crazy supportive of us, and so I want to say thank you to that, and also let you know it's uncanny, but the first year you called us on our hardest day, and we're all struggling. We just done a climb. I don't think you knew this. You called us. We're literally stopped on a mountain because it was lightning out and it was pouring down rain, and that's when you had given us some encouragement. It was like perfect timing. So you're clairvoyant there. And then the second year, we were just about to do one of our hardest days, and you called us again. So thank you for that. But why did you support us?
You think that's by chance that I caught you on those days? No, I mean anyone who where did we meet? That was at just like a random at the tap house right over here, right? And then when we
easy. I just had to buy you a beer.
Yeah, and then we came back and had fire and because I still had leftover. I mean, it was just random. Yeah, we had leftover kegs. I mean, if you guys could come over on a Monday night and have some beers at a campfire.
Well, the funny thing is I was training because I was trying to lose a ton of weight, and I hadn't drank for like 7 months, and I was on a no alcohol diet, and you're like, well, I got a keg. And I'm like, all right, let's go. And you don't know this, but I only drank like half of my cup, and I was already buzzed.
Oh,
and I was like dumping it out.
Yeah, I think we had 3 actually, but yeah, I was definitely on the other side of the spectrum at that point. But no, I mean, really just great guys, and Todd who introduced us is, I mean, I couldn't be any, but just seeing like how much weight you had lost, the charity you're doing it for, and just good guys. I mean, if anything's bike related, you want positive people, it's good to be around.
Christian, thank you. Hopefully, I'll ride with you someday if I come out east to your new adventure. Southeast. Sorry, my bad. And not to sound inappropriate, but it still looks like your wife could kick the crap out of me in a bike race. Is that true? Well, Christian, thank you. I really appreciate your time, and best of luck. And I'll keep heckling you on social media.
All right, guys, thanks.
Wills, episode 3. Now all I want to do is go ride my bike.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Christian. This was super fun. This episode of Design Of was sponsored by Wheels for Water. Justin, what is Wheels for Water?
Wheels for Water is an organization that empowers people to fight the global water crisis, simply by hopping on your bike. Go to wheelsforwater.org to find out more.
We'd like to thank Rule 29 for giving us the resources and space to create this show,
as well as our main man, Steve Wick, for his work as our audio engineer. You know, Wills, he's like when you ride your bike with a tailwind.
We'd also like to thank Sleeping at Last for providing us the soundtrack for these shows. Be sure to visit our website, www.designofpodcast.com, and follow us on Twitter @designofpodcast.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you on the next episode.
Did you get lost?
No.
Well, then why don't you get lost now?